Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is David Fritz, and in this video I'm going to share with you how to produce tech house in FL Studio. The techniques I'm teaching you today, you can use them in every other DAW. You can use it in Ableton, you can use it in Logic, whatever you choose. So please stick until the end of the video with me, because I'm going to teach you a few techniques I'm using for myself to also release my tracks with record labels. Before I start this tutorial, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also make sure that you go on the link in the description, because I have posted there my Spotify link. You can listen to the tracks I released a few times. Please make sure you check that out. Support me in any way you can, and let's get straight into the tutorial. So guys, we're here in FL Studio, and as you can see, I have already a template installed, okay? You can definitely go and check out one of my other videos. I explain exactly in detail what kind of template I'm using, but this is the basic template, okay? So as you can see on the left hand side, there's the browser, okay? Even FL Studio has, for example, if you go on packs, it has a lot of things like the drums, it has kicks. And for tech house, we need a specific kick. It sounds a bit more clicky, but it has to be a specific sort of kick. I like this one a lot. It doesn't have a lot of low end, but this sounds quite nice to me. So yeah, and what we do basically is we install each single, so as you can see here, so we just install a kick in each and single thing the metronome is playing, okay? Very simple. And then to create the specific 4 on the floor drum pattern, what we need to do is at each single time between 2 kicks, we need to install one hi-hat pattern, okay? So I'm just gonna delete this one. I'm just gonna add a random hi-hat because I'm gonna start it from 0. Let's use this one, okay? So what we're gonna do now, we drag and drop one of the hi-hat samples, and between each kick, we put one hi-hat sample. So we put one here again, put one here. So this is the very basic tech house pattern. This is also used for house music, also for techno, but this is how it's gonna sound like. Okay, this is very basic. I'm just gonna continue doing it until the end. Zack, 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 zack. And then what we need, each second kick, we need one clap. Okay, so we're gonna go again on the browser channel and look for some claps. I like this one. So we're gonna put on each second kick, we put one clap. And then yeah, we're just gonna continue doing like that. Zack, zack, zack. Like this, like that, like that. Oh, that's a mistake. That's way too loud. So we need to decrease the volume a bit. So what I'm doing right now is, while I'm already installing things, I'm getting the volumes right, because a lot of times people are going to teach you, hey, you need to first produce and then mix after and get the levels right. But while you're also already producing, you can already get the levels right, and you're going to save yourself heaps of more time. Still too loud. And what we're going to do as well, we're going to assign each single element to a channel. So personally, I put the claps, I think, on channel 10. I'm going to put the hi-hats on channel 7, because that's how I personally do it. That's not a rule of thumb, that's how I personally do it. And we're going to put the kick on channel 5. It's already there. Perfect. So the whole thing is going to sound now like this. What I don't like about it as well is that the clap sounds to me too high pitched, so I'm going to just pitch it down a little bit. And what I think as well is that the kick doesn't have enough low end. So I'm going to go, as you can see, I have the kick here. So I'm going to install an EQ and basically just boost a little bit the low frequencies here. Without it, that sounds way better. All right, so basically we already have this basic pattern. I'm just going to play it on loop all the time from 9 till 13. So yeah, there's nothing else coming. And what we're going to do now is we're going to install the bass pattern, because that's the most important elements in the tech house track. So we're going to go on the bass here, and I'm going to go into the channel rack, and I've already a few presets or a few instruments chosen. For example, the GMS, which is the FL Studio plugin. I don't like that, but I have a I have a sample already here. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna basically play a melody where I think sounds nice, and I'm gonna just add it into it and record it live right now in this video. Perfect, sounds already nice. So yeah, basically what I'm doing is, that's basically just practice. Practice a little bit, play with your keyboard, make music. Don't just focus too much on the DAW, make actually music and focus on hearing and listening to how does it sound like, what kind of emotions does it cause on you, so definitely check that out. And I'm gonna give you also a secret tip, which is called Command A. So you're selecting all the notes, and what you're gonna do then is Command Q to quantize it, which means that the notes are gonna get triggered and they're gonna snap to the grid. If we don't have it, it would be like this. And with it, it will sound like this. This is for me a bit too long. I want to decrease that a little bit. Perfect. All right, so now we have the bass, we have the kick, and we have the hi-hats and the claps. What I want to add as well, I want to add some sort of snare to it, which could be really nice. So let's go on this one here. I look for one snare, and we're gonna just put it into the channel rack. So we're just gonna drag and drop it somewhere here and assign it to number channel, let's say 9. So what we can do, we can play. I'm already practiced in playing with music, but I'm gonna share you this very simple. So what we're gonna just do, we're gonna create a new pattern, which is called the snare pattern, okay? Press enter, and then we're gonna press this and put it somewhere here, okay? So what we're gonna do now is, I'm gonna go on this one here. So this is the note, okay? And because we already have the kick, the hi-hats playing here, here, and here, we need to make sure that the snare is playing exactly the moments when we are not playing with the hi-hats or the kick or the clap. So what I'm doing is, I'm putting this here, I'm putting it possibly here, I'm putting it here, and we're just gonna try a few things, and then we see how it's gonna sound like, and then we're gonna adjust things. That doesn't sound nice. No, that doesn't sound nice. We're gonna edit before this grid. No, that's also too early. I don't want this one. Maybe not in this one. The note is too high, so I'm gonna just again Command A, select everything, and just bring it down a few semitones. And I think also the volume is a bit too loud, because a snare is usually a very quiet element that doesn't have to be in the foreground, so I'm gonna just decrease the volume a bit. Okay, what we're gonna do now is, well, we're gonna add a little bit of groove. So what we're gonna do is, you're gonna press Command A, and then you're gonna press Option Q, okay? So Command A, and then Option Q, and it's gonna open this thing. And what you can then basically do is, you can go on this one here, and you can go on specific grooves, okay? So, and you can create, so for example, the swing, you can go on this one, start time, and then you can see that if you increase this button here or change the button, the notes are basically dragged a little bit away from the grid. So you can hear definitely the difference. So we're gonna do as well the same thing with the bass, because the bass, as you see, is exactly on the grid. We don't want that. We want to create a bit of groove. So we're gonna press again Command A and then Option Q, and we already have this saved. So we're just gonna press Accept. So the bass pattern now has as well a bit of groove and is not exactly on the grid. you can see, for example, this note is not on grid, it's away from the grid, but that's exactly what we want. We want it to be away from the grid, so we can, yeah, it sounds bouncy. Perfect, so this sounds already pretty nice. What we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go a little bit into mixing, because I think it's really important that you get the relationship between the kick and the bass properly. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna mute the hi-hats, the claps, and the snare and everything else. We're just gonna hear the kick and the bass, and we're gonna hear it without any sidechain compression. I like the way how the volume's already made, but we need to make sure that the bass ducks down. The volume of the bass ducks down every single time the kick is playing. The reason for that is simply because basically the kick has a lot of low end, a lot of low frequencies, everything between 30 hertz up to 200 hertz. It has a lot of that. The problem is that the bass have the same thing, but they can't play in the same time because they're clashing with each other. So that's exactly the reason why we need to make sure that the bass ducks down a little bit. So what I'm using on the bass channel here is called the LFO tool, okay? This is basically a sidechain compression tool, and I can completely change how long the timing is, how much I want to duck it down. There's a lot of control I have about the bass. But because we don't know exactly how long the kick is, we need to go on the kick channel first and install the same thing on the kick channel, the LFO tool, okay? And this thing shows us how long the kick is. And as you can see, the kick is going pretty long. It goes until somewhere here, maybe even here, but the volume is not as loud. So we're gonna try to basically, it's like math in school. We need to basically match each with the bass and the kick with each other. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do this one here, put them next to each other, and then what we're gonna do is kind of this thing here. Usually, honestly speaking, based on the experience I have on other tracks as well, we don't want the kick to be super long. So we can basically just do is double click this one here and then drag this one completely down, because we don't want that volume. We don't need it. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this one here. And with this, what we're doing here, I'm basically decreasing the length of the kick, because there's not much information happening here because it's very quiet. And because of that, we can put this a little bit more back. So basically you see them match with each other. But as I always said in my other videos as well, try to listen to your ears. Don't just look at what's happening in the software. Listen to how it feels in your ears. I really like this one. This one's really pleasing to my ears for now. So yeah, this is basically the sidechain compression I'm going to teach you guys. And yeah, what else can we do? Let's again put everything together. I'm telling you as well, the reason why we want to cut out the frequencies here around 0 hertz to 150 hertz in all the elements except the kick and the bass is because those elements, they don't really need the bass sound. We don't need that. A snare or a hi-hat or a clap doesn't really have a lot of low frequencies, and if it has, they're not important. I'm going to show you a very simple example. You can see that the hi-hat itself, everything until 200, you can see that there is something happening, but I can't hear it. And that's exactly the reason why we have to cut it out, because we want to make sure that in the end of the day, our track is loud enough to get released and for the master engineer. If we don't cut this out, we have extra volume, which is so quiet, we don't even hear. But if I decrease, I hear a little knock, but that's not relevant. The most relevant frequencies from a hi-hat is everything here till here. We can cut out so many frequencies which are happening here, what we don't need. And we're going to do the same thing with a lot of elements like the clap. It's minimum, like that's the basic. Oh, that's the snare. The snare is a different element. Sometimes snare have a lot of low end. The clap itself has also a bit of low end, but we don't need that. So we can cut it around 200 Hertz, something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. And then I'm going to show as well with you how I'm using a compressor on the bass. The reason why we compress music and why we compress specific channels is because each instrument has transients, okay? And those transients are basically a very high, like it has a very peak, a loud peak, but we can't hear it. It's just a very simple, like a millisecond or two, which is really loud. And we want to make sure that this volume gets ducked down a little bit. Make sure that it's all pretty much like it's on one wavelength, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Kotelnikov, which is a compressor, okay? And we're going to decrease the volume until the threshold gets it. And you see 2-to-1 means the more, like basically as simple it is, it doesn't really matter what it means. It just means that the higher the ratio is, if it's 4-to-1 or 5-to-1, the more it compresses, which means the more it ducks down the volume, okay? But don't compress everything, just do it subtle. Not like this. Just do it very subtle. And because we don't want the transient to go through, we're gonna decrease the attack time to almost 0. Put this on something like 170, 180. Also, there's no set in stone rule. You can hear this compressor already causes a different tone. It gives the bass a bit of character, I would almost say. But as we can see as well, it ducked down the volume, so we need to make the makeup gain at the end of the day a bit more higher. Which means after the compression, we're gonna increase again the output volume of the bass coming out from the compressor, because obviously it decreases the volume a bit, but it makes it more flat, if you know what I'm talking about. So we need to increase the maximum or the output volume. And now we see everything together. What I feel like as well is I want to add a bit of reverb to the hi-hat. So I have basically here this reverb channel, this drum reverb channel. So the only thing I have to do is increase the volume. And on this drum reverb channel, I've already the Valhalla Supermassive, which can be used as a delay or can be used as a reverb. So basically, I have it already on 100% wet. I have this, I have this brass splat reverbs preset. And as you can hear, it adds a bit of room. Same with a clap if I want to. Just subtle, don't do it too much, just a little bit. Very typical tech house track usually has some sort of vocals, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on vocals and see what we have here. This is perfect. That sounds really good to me. So I'm just gonna add those vocals, and what we're gonna do is, this is too loud. So we're gonna assign the vocals to channel 42 because that is my personal vocal channel. And the speed is not right. So we're gonna click on this thing here up here and fit it to the tempo. And as you see here, the tempo is 126 BPM, okay? So we're gonna press on 175 to 150, which is exactly in that range, kind of. And then it's gonna adjust the timing of the vocals adjusted to the BPM. Perfect, sounds really great. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go a little bit into mixing again. We're gonna go on the vocal channel here, and we're gonna use the high pass, low pass filter, cut out other frequencies which are here because we don't need them. Vocals, especially female vocals, they don't have much low end, and we don't need that. And you can't really hear the difference, but in the end of the day, your mix is gonna sound way louder if you cut down and cut away a lot of those frequencies. And I want a bit of reverb, so I'm gonna connect it again to this reverb channel, which is just here. And yeah, I have again Valhalla Supermassive 100% wet. We're gonna use it again a little bit as compression again, because the vocals, as you can see in the playlist here, this is what I'm talking about, the transients, okay? So what you can see in this playlist is there's this little part of the vocal which is just super loud in comparison to the rest. As well here, we don't want this loudness, we don't need it, it's unnecessary. So what we're gonna do is we add this compressor again and decrease the attack time of the compressor to as minimum as possible, and put the release time around, I don't know, let's say 372. So yeah, we have the loop now done, and we're gonna listen to the whole loop now. Let's see how it sounds like. This was my video, guys. Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video.